place for quick summaries of movies with jaw-dropping twists. Let's dive in. The movie takes place in Shanghai, China, specifically at the International Olympic Committee Conference, where they were discussing wushu, a type of Chinese martial art. They were also advocating for its inclusion in the Olympic Games, as it does not incite revenge or hatred, but is instead based on avoiding conflict and the ongoing pursuit of self-improvement. Wushu began with a man named Yuan, and this takes us back 100 years to Yuan, who was lying on a ship in a pitiable state, thinking of his daughter and the days he spent with her. But before all that, let's see Yuan as a child, when he used to spy on his father, a wushu combat legend, and was mesmerized by his remarkable performance and strength. Later, Yuan would go to serve tea to his father, who scolded him as soon as he entered the room where he was training his students, telling him not to enter again and to go study. Yuan then went to the forest, trying to imitate the moves he had seen. As for his schoolwork, he left it to his friend named Ji to do for him. The next day, there was a combat competition between Yuan's father and a professional fighter. An agreement was signed between the two parties, and the fight began. Yuan's father was in control, showcasing his expertise and skill in wushu. At one point, he had the chance to kill his opponent with a deadly blow, but he refused and stepped back at the last moment. This allowed his opponent to seize the opportunity and throw him out of the ring, making the opponent the winner. Yuan couldn't understand why his father had done that. He went away and cried, while the son of the opponent who won mocked him for his father's loss, which provoked Yuan. He challenged the boy to a duel to see who would win. The two climbed onto the combat platform, but unfortunately, Xiao, the opponent's son, was in control and managed to knock Yuan down, leaving him humiliated. After his defeat, Yuan told Ji, "If you're really my friend, stand by me and help me learn martial arts." Ji agreed and took him to his father's study, where they found a book on kung fu and wushu techniques. Yuan told Ji to copy everything in the book word for word. Later, Yuan approached his father, who became angry upon seeing him in such a state and was about to punish him physically, but Yuan's mother intervened just in time to save him. In their room, Yuan's mother explained that his father forbade him from fighting because he suffered from asthma and was afraid he might get hurt. However, Yuan was determined to learn martial arts and avenge his father's loss. He went to the forest with Ji and practiced every word written in the book, training himself rigorously. He then drafted an agreement and went to Xiao, asking him to sign it and face him in combat. The fight took place, and Yuan fought like a ninja. Xiao couldn't overpower him, and Yuan won with great skill, feeling elated. Years passed, and Yuan was shown playing with his daughter, whom he loved dearly, especially after her mother's death. One day, Yuan's mother reminded him that he hadn't taken his medication for a long time, but he told her he had recovered from asthma since he started training and practicing martial arts. His mother advised him to find a new mother for his daughter, as she needed maternal care, but Yuan refused, saying he was focused on fighting in competitions, aiming to become a champion in Tianjin, the city where he lived. In 1990, a wushu championship was held in Tianjin, where Yuan faced Xiao, the same opponent who had beaten him as a child. An agreement was signed, and during the fight, Xiao boasted of his strength and skill, but Yuan surprised him with his agility, reaching the platform with ninja-like swiftness. The fight was intense, with both fighters equally matched. At times, Xiao dominated, and at other times, Yuan took control. Eventually, Yuan gathered all his strength and experience, delivering a powerful blow that sent Xiao flying off the platform. Yuan emerged victorious. That night, Yuan visited his lifelong friend Ji, who had become a successful businessman and owned a popular restaurant. Yuan often celebrated his victories there. Soon, two young men approached Yuan, pleading for him to become their teacher. He proudly accepted, but in doing so, he neglected his daughter, failing to spend enough time with her. As time passed, Yuan entered a new challenge, fighting against a series of opponents, defeating them one after another. Eventually, he grew tired of fighting them individually, so he invited all the remaining fighters to face him at once. Despite their numbers, Yuan fought with exceptional skill and confidence, defeating them all like a true ninja. After his victory, Yuan celebrated at Ji's restaurant, where another group of young people asked him to teach them. He declared that food and drinks were on him, but Ji's employee informed him that the bill had become too high. Yuan ignored the financial strain until a young man warned him not to celebrate too soon, saying he had yet to face Master Shin. Later that night, Ji confronted Yuan, asking how long he intended to continue down the path of fighting. Yuan replied that he wanted to be the best and strongest in wushu. Ji, frustrated, told him to focus on his future instead of wasting time and resources on his students. Yuan then realized the extent of his debts, but assured Ji he would pay them off the next day. The following day, Yuan encountered Master Shin by chance, and the two exchanged heated words. Yuan stood his ground, but the matter ended without escalation. When Yuan returned home, the head servant informed him that all their money had been spent on his students, who ate and drank for free. Even the family's personal savings were gone, and they owed money to many people. At that moment, one of Yuan's students entered, severely beaten by Master Shin. Shin was celebrating his birthday at Ji's restaurant, having reserved the entire place. This angered Yuan, who decided to confront Shin. They beat, insulted, and left him under his feet. Then Shen also went to talk to him, but it was all in vain. Yuan was determined to kill Mr. Shen. However, Ji, his friend, completely refused the idea and told him that resentment and revenge were controlling him and that he needed to come to his senses. But Yuan didn't listen to him, so Ji immediately cut ties with him, saying, "It's over between us." Everyone left the restaurant, and the fight began between Yuan and Mr. Shen, who were evenly matched in combat. Each one tried to overpower the other and win, but it was all in vain. Both displayed their strength and expertise in fighting to destroy the other. After a prolonged battle, Yuan managed to overpower Mr. Shen and make him lose focus. Not only that, he also delivered the deadly blow that no one could recover from. He walked out with his student, who was overjoyed at his victory, while Shen was taken to the hospital. His son watched Yuan's students celebrating, completely indifferent to what had happened. The next day, Ji called Yuan and said to him, "Are you happy with what you've done? Let me tell you, Mr. Shen died 2 hours ago. It's because of you." At this, Yuan was deeply affected by his death and regretted it, but it was too late. When he returned home, he found his mother murdered. This was the work of Shen's son, who sought revenge for his father's death. He didn't even spare the little girl. He killed her too. From here, Yuan entered a fit of rage, grabbed his sword, and went to Mr. Shen's house to kill his son for what he had done. He was about to kill the wife and her mother too, but stopped at the last moment. On his way out, his students arrived and confessed to him that Mr. Shen had beaten that young man because he had harassed his wife and was bothering her. In other words, Shen was right. Unfortunately, we all knew this, but didn't tell you before you killed him. From here, Yuan left them and walked away, consumed by the realization that he had lost his mind completely and was no longer in touch with reality. Years later, he was seen homeless, living on the streets like a beggar. He decided to end his life, but fate had other plans. People saved him and pulled him out of the water. A family from the village took him in, providing him with food, drink, and proper treatment. A blind girl named Amar was the one who cared for him daily, checking on him and advising him to move past his sorrow. She insisted on cleaning him up, washing his hair, and truly restoring him. Eventually, she succeeded, and the old Yuan returned. At this time, a boy named Hong appeared, upset about his ox, which was on the verge of death. His grandmother consoled him, saying, "Everything has its time. We all will taste death, and every life ends when its time comes." Later, Yuan stepped out and found the children, who were happy to see him. They took him to play with them. One day, Yuan woke up and couldn't find the ox. He heard its sound outside and went to bring it back, trying to return it to its place but failing. The grandmother arrived and explained that, despite its weakness, the ox wanted to work. A hard-working ox indeed. The grandmother took it back to its place. Afterward, Yuan lived with Amar and the grandmother, eating and drinking with them, and finding a new family to replace the one he had lost. Once Yuan recovered, he went down to work in the fields with the men, using all his strength. Years passed, and Yuan remained with them, until one day Hong was seen crying and screaming over the death of the ox, devastated by its loss. Meanwhile, Yuan continued working day after day, proving his competence. One day, someone from the village informed them that Hong was in trouble. After the death of his ox, he went to the neighboring village and stole an ox from there. The villagers were determined to punish him, so everyone rushed over to save Hong, who was tied up in this manner. The village chief ordered everyone to beat him as per their law for thieves. At this point, the grandmother arrived, apologizing to everyone, explaining that Hong was still a child and didn't know any better. But no one listened to her and insisted on punishing him. Here, Yuan intervened, saying, "I'll take the beating and punishment in his place." The chief agreed but told him that the punishment for an adult was different. "You'll have to fight me until the incense stick burns out. If you manage to defeat me, you can take Hong and leave." Yuan agreed, and the fight began. Yuan initially took a defensive stance, not attacking at all, taking blow after blow, until the grandmother screamed at him, saying, "Just because you don't want to hurt anyone doesn't mean you should hurt yourself." This woke Yuan up, and he switched to an offensive stance, using all his strength to strike the chief, who couldn't withstand or block his lethal blows. The incense stick burned out, and Yuang won, taking Hong and leaving peacefully. He then spoke with Amar and the children, who wanted to learn martial arts, but Yuang refused, explaining that they would misuse it. He emphasized that martial arts should be used to end conflict, not create it. One day the grandmother told Amar that she needed to visit her parents' graves. Amar informed Yuang, who immediately remembered his own family. That day he worked as if he had the strength of 10 men, and everyone noticed. Eventually he went to Amar and said, "I need to talk to you." But she interrupted him, saying, "I know you want to leave us, and that's your right." He told her he wanted to visit his family too, and the homeland he had left years ago, promising to return to them. Indeed, he packed his belongings, Amar bid him farewell, and he left. He returned to his homeland, which was now under colonial rule, occupied by powerful nations. Yuang found his homeland had changed. The first thing he did was visit his home, where only the head servant remained. The servant told him he had done his best to maintain the house, but everything missing had been taken by those to whom he owed money. Only his friend Ji had been sending money to pay off some of the debts. At that moment, Yuang tore up all the documents of his victories and burned them. He visited his father's grave and said, "Now I understand why you didn't deliver the final blow and chose to lose deliberately. It was to prevent anyone from seeking revenge against you." He also apologized to his mother for not listening to her back then and for pursuing a path of revenge-filled fighting. He apologized to his daughter for not spending enough time with her and for being the reason behind her tragic death. Afterward, he went to his friend Ji, but unfortunately, Ji refused to meet him, sending him the book he had copied for him years ago. Yuang took it with deep sorrow and left, but Ji watched him from a distance. Yuang then went to Shen's wife and apologized to her, and visited Shen's tomb to apologize to him as well. While walking through the market, he encountered Xiao, his childhood rival, who was now selling goods in the market. Xiao refused to give Yuang anything, even yelling at him, but Yuang didn't respond, leaving him only the martial arts book. And on a new day, news spreads in the newspapers about a man named O'Brien, also known as Hercules, who won 32 times and injured 25 opponents seriously. He challenges any Chinese fighter to kill him, even describing them as weak. Of course, Yuang got upset and went to meet his friend Ji, apologizing to him for what happened, and said he needed a loan for something urgent. But Ji refused, saying he didn't have any money. However, Yuang left him the newspaper containing the Englishman's challenge to them, which prompted Ji to immediately send him the money through his employee. The day of the challenge arrives and Yuang attends. The referee asked him to sign the death warrant, but Yuang said, "No harm, no foul," and that killing someone in competition is the height of violence and cruelty. The competition between them would be honorable. This made everyone proud of Yuang and his words, but the referee didn't convey any of it to Hercules, who attacked Yuang with full force, thinking he had said he wasn't his match. But Yuang, being a ninja, skillfully countered his attacks and showed him his worth. Despite Hercules' strength, Yuang used his skills and intelligence to defeat Hercules. He delivered a blow that almost sent him out of the ring, where the iron would have impaled and killed him if Yuang hadn't intervened at the last moment to save him. This act earned Hercules respect, and he declared Yuang the winner to the audience. The news spread in the newspapers about Yuang, the Chinese man who defeated Hercules, the English champion, and saved him from certain death. As a result, an organization was established called the Jingfu Athletic Club to promote combat that encourages competition, not killing and violence. Yuang became famous, and his friend Ji finally forgave him and invited him over. Ji was happy that Yuang abandoned the idea of violence and revenge in combat. Moreover, he elevated their status among the English, who had taken their resources and thought of them as weak. Ji was impressed by Yuang's words and greatly admired his new and different personality. Yuang told him that if the West despises them and looks down on them, it's because they are busy fighting each other, which made them appear small in their eyes. He said they must change themselves to rise above them. From there, Ji made a decision, sold his restaurant, and donated the money to Yuang's Union Club, even though the restaurant was his lifelong dream. But he prioritized his country and his friend over his dream. On another day, Xiao came to Yuang to apologize for what happened in the market, but Yuang told him not to worry and showed him around the place. Afterward, Yuang gathered his people and explained the true essence of Wushu, that it is the path to their strength and advancement, that through it they would become strong, stand united as one nation against any enemy, and achieve this through cooperation, not intimidation, killing, or revenge. Everyone took a group photo in front of the Union Club. On the other side of our film, specifically in the English Chamber of Commerce, they were discussing how to get rid of Yuang. They decided to gather 4 of the world's strongest fighters to go against Yuang, which was a great injustice in itself. but they were sure he would agree to save the honor and reputation of his club. Mr. Mehta guaranteed them with certainty that Yuang would lose and urged them to bet on his defeat. The invitation reached Yuang, and his friend told him he wasn't comfortable with it, suspecting it was a trap set by the English against him. But Yuang agreed to fight without hesitation for the reputation of their club. Later, Ji told him that one of the competitors, named Tanaka, wanted to meet him immediately. Yuang went to meet him, and from their conversation, it became clear that Tanaka was very respectful and was convinced by Yuang's idea of wushu as a means of self-improvement, control, and discipline, not violence and killing. From then on, Yuang trained daily for the competition day, which finally arrived, and everyone was eager to see who would win. Yuang's 4 opponents were present, and Tanaka confronted Maeda for not knowing that 4 would be against Yuang, calling it a clear act of murder, not a competition. He also knew that Mehta had made a handsome profit from the situation. Yuang faced his first opponent, the British boxer Peter, and the fight began between them. Yuang was confident in himself, his strikes, and his movements. With one blow, he knocked his opponent to the ground and won the first match. Next up was Hanks, a royal equestrian trainer. But Yuang defeated him with full force, countered all his strikes, and knew exactly where to hit. After a fight between them, Yuang emerged victorious with great merit. The English spectators were furious as Yuang humiliated their pride. Then came the third opponent, Anthony, a European fencing champion. As usual, Yuang fought him and defeated him with ease. From there, the man told Maeda that Yuang must not win against Tanaka, or it would be his neck on the line. The match between Yuang and Tanaka began, and Tanaka told him that if he wanted to rest for a while, he wouldn't mind since the competition hadn't been fair from the start, but Yuang told him he was fine. The fight began between them, and Tanaka was tougher and stronger than the previous 3. He skillfully countered all of Yuang's strikes, and neither could overpower the other. At this point, the foolish Mehta ordered Yuang's tea to be switched with another, poisoning it to eliminate him for his own benefit. The first round ended in a draw, and during the break, Yuang drank the poisoned tea. When he returned to the ring, he faced Tanaka with all his strength, but unfortunately he couldn't last long as the poison began spreading through his body. He was forced out of the ring, and they took the poisoned tea to hide it. No one knew what was happening, but Yuang told them someone had poisoned him and refused to go to the hospital, saying he could feel the poison in his body and was already dying. He insisted on continuing the duel despite his condition. With complete audacity, Maeda went to Tanaka and told him he must win. Tanaka told Yuang there was no solution but to continue. Yuang insisted, so the two entered a second fight. Yuang, with all his remaining strength, attacked and defended until he had the chance to deliver a fatal blow to Tanaka, but he hesitated at the last moment and collapsed to the ground. Tanaka helped him up and declared him the winner, saying he deserved it with great merit. The crowd cheered for Yuang, who ultimately died poisoned due to Maeda's greed and his gambling. This concludes our movie for today. Don't forget to like and activate the subscription button to receive all the latest updates. Goodbye.